Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, Wootini at gaymer.net, here with another weekly video podcast, this time coming to you straight from Boston for PAX East 2014. With me is my special guest, Chris.
Hello.
Another Chris. And we're just going to talk about what we saw. I do want to start off with the Diversity Lounge because there was a lot of controversy about that. And I'm doing up a big article. I interviewed a bunch of people there about it and what they thought and their experience and how they felt it went. And I'm happy to say that it's going to be a positive article because everyone seemed to be really excited about it and they thought it was a really great thing. Did you happen to visit it?
Yeah, I stopped in for about 20 minutes or so. Nice variety of stuff there, and it was busy when I went. So.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot on display, but I feel like it's just the start. And if they have it next year, which I think they should, I feel like they'll get even more exhibitors. You know, there were only like maybe a half a dozen booths or something, and they had like a little lounge area with some bean bags and some tables and chairs where you could sit and hang out. But I was pleasantly surprised at how well it seemed to go off. I do feel like I heard a couple people making snide comments like out in the hallway, but that's to be expected, I suppose. And now, what did you play that, was there anything on the show floor that like grabbed your attention?
I didn't really play anything. Evolve looked pretty good, but the lines were just like 2 hours.
The lines are always ridiculous. I did play Evolve and it was pretty cool, because with a media badge, I don't have to wait in line. If you know the PR people or have an appointment, you can skip ahead. Although sometimes I feel really bad because they've totally booted somebody off of Murdered Soul Suspect. They're like, sorry, this is and I mean the actual station was labeled Media Priority Access, so he was like, sorry, I have to ask you to step away, and I started playing, and I felt really bad, you know, but then I'm thinking, you probably shouldn't try to play the demo on the media station because you might get booted. You should be aware of that. Also, I almost got booted because the guy came over and he was like, I need to bump you for a media, and I like went like this and showed him my media badge, and he was like, oh, and I'm like, it's my appointment. I just started playing. The thing with that demo, though, like, the game looks really interesting. Right. Like, you're this, like, thug who becomes a cop, and then you get murdered, and you, as a ghost, have to solve your own murder. And, but the demo was basically, like, the beginning of the game.
Okay.
Like, it was so long that after half an hour, I feel like I was maybe halfway through the demo. And I died, and I was like, you know what, I'm good. I don't want to take up any more time, because I felt like I was hogging it. One of the games that I played was an indie game that fascinated me. I did also play an indie game called Cat Lateral Damage. It's basically a first-person cat destruction simulator, and you control your left paw and your right paw, and it's a first-person cat perspective, and you jump up on the furniture and you just swat everything onto the floor, and you get points for everything that you swat onto the floor. It was kind of fun and very liberating. It was get your aggressions out. But I played this game called Elegy for a Dead World, which is barely a game, but utterly fascinating. Basically, there's 3 worlds, and it's just one long strip, and you just walk from left to right, and it just scrolls across the screen. And occasionally there's like a building that you can enter and look at and come back out. And basically, you write the story of this dead world. So you just see ruins and whatever, and there's like symbols of this lost civilization. And at any point as you're walking, you can stop, and you hit enter, and write something. Whether it's a poem, or a story, or just random words, like whatever inspires you. And the game will also give you prompts so that you can fill in a word, or you can just do it blank. I did it blank just to see what would happen and what I would think to write. and it was fascinating. And then like so you'd stop, and then it creates like a little point, and that's where a little feather pen, like a quill, so that you know that you've written something for that viewpoint. And then what you do is afterwards you upload your story to Steam, and then other people on Steam have also written their stories, and you can read what they've written about this world and see how they interpreted the visuals.
Right, that's neat.
And I was like, this is fascinating. I mean, obviously on its own, it was just a very. I mean, the art is beautiful, and the music was very hypnotic and atmospheric. But what I experienced just writing it, and then I read a random PAX story written by somebody else at PAX. But I feel like it wouldn't really take off until it gets on Steam, and then you can really read everybody's and stuff. But I noticed there's a lot of indie games.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more indie games this year than ever before.
There was a lot.
Okay. I mean, they have like an entire giant section, like there's the indie mega booth, which is more mega than ever. It's like, I feel like it was on like a quarter of the show floor was the indie mega booth. Because there weren't a lot of big developers.
No.
There was no Sony, no Nintendo, there's no Capcom. There's other people I'm sure I'm missing, but like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sony had that little merch booth.
Yeah, but that's just merch. I mean, that's not really. Hey, look at our new game and look at our new PS4. Because I felt like you should have had like, okay, maybe the PS4 is doing well and Sony's like, we don't need to bother. But you'd think that Nintendo would have been there with Wii U's and saying, look, here's Mario Kart. You can play Mario Kart, because I know that's playable. I've played a Mario Kart demo. And they could have had a Mario Kart demo, and then had video of Smash Brothers, which that's not coming out till winter, so I'm assuming they don't quite have that playable yet. But you could have video of Smash Brothers, and it would get people really excited for those games. And they didn't do that. And I guess they just figure it's not worth the expense of going to PAX and putting on... Because if you're like a Sony or a Nintendo, you have to have a big booth with special effects and lighting and the whole Megillah. You can't just have a small little booth like the indie guys do. And maybe they figure it's just not worth the effort and the money.
Right.
I don't know. But I did feel like this year's PAX was slightly... Like there was less to see. There weren't as many big... There's not a lot of big AAA titles.
No, and even like Microsoft's booth was... Well, it was dead. There was never a line for those games. But,
well, I saw a line... Well, it's funny because the first time I saw their booth, I walked by and I was like, it's just Titanfall. But then later on, I was walking by on the other side and I saw, oh, okay, they have like Kinect Sports Rivals, and I think they had something else. And I was like, oh, alright, there's other games on the other side. I thought it was just a Titanfall booth. But I did see a line for Titanfall. So there were people lined up for that. But again, that's kind of like, well, it's already out. Like
everything they had was already out. And my biggest disappointment was like half the games weren't playable. Like Evil Within.
Yeah.
And Watch Dogs. Like that one I just don't get.
No, I mean, I have seen videos of Watch Dogs for, I don't even know how long, a couple years maybe. And at every time they're like, oh, we're showing Watch Dogs. I'm like, okay, so maybe this time it'll be playable. Because that game is weird. Like, I don't... Like, they keep talking up this game and how you're gonna, like, use the internet and do all this stuff. And you watch the videos and you see it, but I feel like you don't... I still don't get it, and I need to play it to understand, oh, this is how the game mechanic works. I understand now. Right. But they won't let you play it until, I guess, when it comes out. And then you can play it.
Which is like a month from now.
So, yeah. But, did you have a good time?
Yeah.
Overall?
Yeah, it's been fun.
I mean, even if you haven't actually played any games.
Yeah.
It was a good PAX East. The weather, thank God, cooperated really well this year. It's usually, like, kind of annoyingly cold. But this year it's been weirdly warm, which kind of freaked me out. Although I will say I was annoyed that we had our gaymer.net party. All the gay nerds got together again on Saturday night. And normally we do it at Fritz, but then Fritz closed for remodeling, which they're reopening as a restaurant, so they're not going to be a gay bar anymore. So it's not really remodeling, it's a complete restructuring, but we had to have it at a different place. And I honestly, I had heard people say Club Cafe's not great, and now having been there, I'm like, no, it kind of isn't.
It was crowded.
Yeah.
And it's a very diverse group.
Well, the thing that weirds me out is the front of the place is an actual cafe with tables and food service and stuff, and then the middle section was like stand-up tables and stuff for like a bar, and then the very back was a huge dance floor. Well, it's not huge, but it was spacious enough, I guess. So I'm like, what is this place? It's so schizophrenic. It's like a little of everything, and it just got so crowded, and I just didn't feel like, because that middle section, they have the little like barriers and stuff, and it just didn't feel like an open space where you can all mix and mingle. It felt like we were being corralled into little corners and stuff, and it wasn't good for mixing and mingling. But we still had fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was
all
fun.
right. So yeah, I feel like PAX was slightly disappointing this year, but just because, you know, you're missing Sony and there wasn't a Nintendo and there wasn't like anything like big and exciting. I mean, I guess people were excited to try Oculus Rift, but
Did you try it?
No, the line was really long and it was capped, and I said, nah. Because I forgot that it was there, otherwise I might have tried to make a beeline for that on Friday morning during the press time when I get an hour with just press, so the lines aren't quite as bad. But I do look forward to seeing next year, and especially to see how the Diversity Lounge expands next year, because that'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they'll still have it. So that's it from Boston, and I will see you back next week on my couch again. And say goodbye to the folks, Chris.
Bye.
Bye.